first of all, what is the best thing of being a part of Audioslave?
It's being with these three other guys that I love and care for and respect, and they rock harder than any three other guys I know. And I'm lucky enough to be in a band with them, so I'm grateful.
So now it's like a family, like a big family?
Yeah, it's a really great vibe on tour, and the show's been going great, and the relationship between band and audience has been great, and within the band has been good. It's a beautiful day in Phoenix. It's how rock should be. You know?
Kind of funny.
Yeah, it's kind of funny.
Yeah,
both funny and sunny.
It's funny and sunny, that's right.
All of the above.
What is the most important thing that you have learned in Audioslave that you didn't learn in Rage Against the Machine?
That's an interesting question. I mean, I guess the most important thing to learn is that it's a lesson that there is a tremendous inherent chemistry and and kind of musical talent inherent in people that can come out in different ways in different situations. Yeah. Both Soundgarden and Rage Against the Machine each had a very unique and vibrant way of making music. In Audioslave, we've taken some of those elements, put them together in a brand new band, and it's found a way to make music that we love as much as anything we've done before, and that seems to be compelling to an audience.
Oh, that's great. And Cochise, your first single, why did you choose Cochise as your first single?
Because it rocked real hard, and we wanted to kind of come, straight out with something that was really heavy and something that you didn't hear on the radio, and something that sounded unique and different. And when we were together in a room writing this record, it was four guys making music from their souls and not worrying about what was happening on the radio or what anyone else thought Audioslave should be. And we thought that would be a great first song to kind of kick everything off with.
And how was your experience to work with probably the most important director of music videos, Mark Romanek?
It was an interesting experience. He made a great video, and I like that guy. It's very different though, because it's a director with a stronger personality than any video director we had worked with before. And I was frankly terrified of him much of the time. And I
More
hid.
than the fireworks.
Yeah, the fireworks.
The method.
Yeah. But he made a great video, and he's tremendously passionate and takes very seriously what he does, and it's very important to him that it come out great. Like he's been directing feature films now as well, and so he doesn't do videos as much as he did before, and he doesn't take on many projects, but he was a big fan of Audioslave, and so it was an honor to get him to work on the video with us.
That's great. And I hear the album, and I think that you have some musical influence really good, like a little bit of Led Zeppelin in Cochise, or a little bit of blues in Getaway Car. What do you think about old school music, like classic rock, like jazz, like blues?
I like a lot of different kinds of music, and I think between the four of us there are so many different influences roaming around that when we get together there's a certain chemistry, which I think Tom was talking about, that happens naturally for us. So to be able to, it's only natural that the things that you grew up listening to, as the bands that you just described, or whether it be AC/DC or Black Sabbath, or John Coltrane, all these influences are rolling around within the band. So it's nice to be in a band that you're not inhibited in any way whatsoever on a musical level, and you can take all different kinds of avenues, and that's what this band will continue to be about.
Great. And talking about old school, like in general, what is the most important thing that you have learned when you were kids of your parents that you actually use it in the music industry?
Oh wow, that's a good question. That's a new one. It asked a lot of questions. What is the most important? No, I mean, for me, it was that my mom has always been very tolerant of my music. My high school punk rock band practiced in our basement.
Oh, really?
And when I went away to university to go to school, even though I was going to four-year college, I still knew that I wanted to be a rock and roll musician afterwards. She was very, very supportive of that. And I think that kind of like that belief in me is something that's was really helpful during the hard times when you're starving and you don't have a job or a car and you're playing. And then I try to sort of bring that now that we're in the position where we're able to make music for a living, never to take that for granted, and to there you have it.
I think kind of worked for me in the opposite way, in that I came from a pretty dysfunctional family, and rock music was something that they didn't want me to do, so all the more reason for me to prove them wrong.
I know.
Yeah, that's a good motivator right there. Yeah.
But what is the most the thing that you miss most of those days when you were kids?
What do you miss most?
The sandbox, the jungle gym, and the bowling ball, and 40 pounds of cream cheese in the bathtub.
All right.
Brad's bathtub, that's what I miss most.
Really?
No.
How was it?
What do I miss most? I don't know. I mean, that's, every time has its, I'm actually, many of my friends who are my best friends, who I had great times with when I was a little kid, are my best friends now, who I have great times with. I've sort of maintained the same people I'm close with now are many of the same ones I was close with long ago. So.
But who actually introduced you to the guitar? Like, hey, dude, you can play the guitar.
I think I kind of took that out on I really loved rock bands like Aerosmith and Led Zeppelin, and I wanted to. At first, I was a singer before my voice changed. Before it became the rich baritone voice that you hear right here today, people of Latin America.
Well, you can sing like Jay Brown.
I had a very high, squeaky voice, and I was in a band where I was the singer, and we sang Led Zeppelin songs. And I sang like a little Michael Jackson in a disco suit and an afro.
Did you dance and everything?
Not so much dance. Yeah, thank goodness the video. Not to date myself, but there weren't so many video cameras around back then. Wore the Italian horn and rocked it out. But as soon as my voice changed, I could no longer hit the Robert Plant high notes. And I thought, I'm gonna have to bump over to guitar. That's my next best hope.
And what about you, Brad? How do you discover the drums?
I was living in Chicago at the time, and one of my next door neighbors had a drum set, and I was just, infatuated with it. I just remember, it had the big KISS logo on the front head, and I'd go over there, and I'd be there for about 3 minutes, and that's about all I could handle until I was behind the drum set, horribly banging away, not knowing what I was doing, but feeling really good about it.
That's great. And then, that was when you were kids, but after that you were to college, you were to Harvard. It wasn't weird at the beginning, everybody saying oh, this guy studying politics would also play the guitar and play the guitar hard.
Yeah, so I've never particularly, sort of fit in with my environment, whether it was I was the first black kid to live in Libertyville, Illinois, the town where I grew up. I personally integrated the town, so that was kind of weird.
Wow.
And then to be growing up in a very conservative community and having sort of more radical leftist ideas was very different. Then I went to Harvard to study political science, but I was determined to be a rock and roll guitar player, which was sort of an unusual major, for a Harvard student. Then I moved to California to the Hollywood underground, where it was an unusual thing, one, to be a brown-skinned rock guitar player, but two, to also be doing that with a Harvard degree. So I've never particularly, haven't had such good camouflage for my activities.
But do you skip school to go to practice?
No.
Not at all.
To go to school and then I would practice.
You were a really responsible guy.
I was obsessively compulsive guy. Yeah.
But
there's a big difference between the two.
But what is
you.
your best memory of the life of a student?
Wow. I honestly, I always hated school. I always hated it.
I do too.
Always hated it. Always hated it. From the second grade on, hated it. Went through 4 years of Harvard, hated it. But, there are things that you get out of it. And I think that via my education, it helps you. It's not so much that you remember a lot of facts and dates, but it really helps you think. Helps you, the way you think, and that's, and that is something. And I have some lifelong friends out of as well. But I always wanted to rock and roll, dude. I would practice 4 hours a day, every day, 365 days a year, not every single day. If it was 2 in the morning and I had an exam at 8 in the morning, and I had a fever of 102, and I just finished studying, I was 6 in the morning, not 5:58 in the morning.
But like
an insane person might do.
But in the
Like someone
garage of your house?
like sort of in the hallway of the dorm.
Like kind of quiet or
Oh,
like...
yeah, well, yeah.
Mom, wake up!
No, not plugged in, but yeah, not healthy, but